I want to live happily for myself, not to convince people that I'm the best actress around. I don't want to run that race. Acting is a part of my life, not my whole life. I used to get so happy when they mentioned about me, at least in one line, that she did her part. That itself was a big deal. You will pay to watch that person in theatre, but you will not, you're not okay for that person to be your neighbor. I've honestly never, people who have reached out to me also, I'm like, okay, I'm really glad you think that I can pull off an item song, so to say. It still is the biggest film for me, so it will still stand that. I got a chance to work with Rajkumar Hirani and Shah Rukh Khan, so that's still going to be at the top of...
That's always...
Yeah. Not in Hindi, but I was asked to do the same thing when I was working in South, because I never did these kind of, glamorized roles as such in Hindi. So it was mostly in South that I did those roles, and that's why there is where I was, for me it was like there is an obsession. I never really thought that, okay, Hindi films focus on cleavage and South films focus on navel. I never really demarcated it like that. It was brought to my notice. But do you also realize that after crossing a certain age, that's your power, that you have freedom of speech? And as I said, with great power, are you responsible enough to use that power?
This interview is presented by title sponsors Ramraj Mritu Towels. Mritu Towels from Ramraj. Super soft, super absorbent. Balmer, Lawrie and Company Limited. A Government of India enterprise with 160 years of trust. Powered by Anuj Styles. Ragangal Palavidam, Vovundrum Ulagataram. Mr. Gold, Tarathalayum Malavalayum, no compromise. Darling ASSI Trivira. Indiavale Kurinda Madathavanayil ASSI.
Hello, Taapsee Pannu.
Hello, Baradwaj Rangan.
How are you?
I'm beautiful.
Thank you for ASSI. I should actually thank Anubhav as well, because I'm just amazed by how he keeps taking up these various subjects, which are technically newspaper subjects, but the way he keeps translating them into cinema is just like, I just keep getting amazed, because each time he finds a new way to tell these stories, and you've been part of at least 3 or 4 of these films.
3, yeah.
3. Thappad,
Mulk, Thappad
and this one. Yeah,
yes.
So, but before that, before we start talking about ASSI and all that, I'm Googling up Taapsee Pannu for this interview, and suddenly I'm just getting padded bras, cleavage, padded bras.
I was like, what?
What is happening? What have you been talking about?
That's our good old digital world who very selectively try to choose and pick things what suits their keywords.
Okay.
So, I think this is a very age-old association of heroines, questions asked to heroines, and especially the ones who come from acting in South Indian movies and then come here to ask them certain questions regarding the male gaze over these heroines when they're working in South. So I remember this one podcast that I was asked this question in, that Neena Gupta in the same podcast mentioned that how she was asked to wear a padded bra for, I think, for some Hindi film of hers.
Okay.
And how she was, obviously it didn't feel nice, and obviously it's awkward. And then I was asked that, were you asked the same thing? So I said, not in Hindi, but I was asked to do the same thing when I was working in South, because I never did these kind of glamorized roles as such in Hindi. So it was mostly in South that I did those roles, and that's why there is where I was asked to do something like this. And it was obviously awkward for the director as well, because that director had to convey this to me. And how do you do that when the set hardly has females, right? So you have to convey via. And it's awkward when there are hardly 2-3 females on the set, and you get this via, and then she has to leave the set to the van and come back, and then obviously a director has to check if it's good enough or no. So all this entire process is slightly awkward.
It's icky.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So this was the conversation, and also I'm constantly being asked that, why do you think South India is obsessed with navel? And I don't think people who really made 50 articles about this really heard my answer, where I said, I feel even in Hindi films, they do focus on the woman's midriff. And then the person who was asking me the question said, no, in Hindi films, it's more about cleavage.
Okay.
So then I was like, oh, maybe. I mean, I don't know. For me, it's just basically a certain gaze. be it cleavage or the midriff. So I don't know what the obsession is, but let's own it up. There is a certain obsession, be it in Hindi or be it in South. But there is that obsession there. It depends which part of yours is highlighted. That's not the point. The point is there is a certain obsession. So this, I think I was asked this question because I worked in both the industries. So for me, it was like there is an obsession. I never really thought that, okay, Hindi films focus on cleavage and South films focus on navel. I never really demarcated it like that. It was brought to my notice by the podcaster.
Okay.
So, and hence, you know, they start splashing, oh, Taapsee says that in South they are obsessed with navel and in Hindi they are obsessed with cleavage. Or in South, they're obsessed with cleavage and navel, and suiting everyone their own, like whatever headline suits their clickbaits, and they start splashing. But I was like, you know, I'm really done with people who don't want to even see or hear the podcast and then write, who want to have their own interpretation, because no matter what I say, they will still interpret it in the way they want to interpret it.
But Taapsee, when you look back at those early days when these things were done, I assume they're no longer done, right? Or are they still done?
I have no idea, yeah, because I'm not featuring in those films,
right. But
yeah.
you know of others who kind of...
I've not
right,
really had a
okay, right.
conversation.
Anyway, so, but when you were part of these films, like, did you just take it as, okay, this is part of the profession, or was some part of you rebelling against it?
No, I was too new.
Okay.
I thought this is how it's done.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, maybe your director is asking, director is a captain of ship. You're supposed to listen to whatever he expects out of you, however it contributes to the output. So I have to do it. Unless it's like really crossing that line and you feel like, okay, this seems to be something that all the heroines are looking like they're okay with doing. So I'm also supposed to do this. So it's, yeah, so that I did it.
But when you're talking about gays, I saw again recently, because all of this was leading, you just click one link and it leads you to another one, right? There was a list of top 10 hottest South Indian heroines as voted by the readers.
Okay.
And you were one of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Would that be something you're happy about, or?
Top 10 hottest. I would really be happy about, yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, now I would want to look at myself and feel like, oh, yes, I'm hot. Now, the definition of hot to each their own.
Yeah. How do you look back at those southern films where you kind of, I'm not, except Adukalam and those kinds of films, but the general singing, dancing, you know, where you're basically the heroine is just an object.
Actually,
right?
I've done only those only in Telugu. I haven't really done those in Tamil. Strangely, I started both at the same time, but Tamil audience never gave me those kind of roles, and Telugu only gave me those kind of roles. Yeah, so, sorry, your question was?
How do you look back at that? Is it like okay, now like, it's done, it's fun, whatever it was, or do you like, one part of you wish you hadn't done those?
No, none. I don't really think. I think I never look back at it thinking I wish I didn't. Because if I didn't do it, I'll always be craving to do that, because no matter what, you always want to be the mainstream actress, right? So unless and until you do those kind of things, you're not really called the mainstream actress. So I did that to know, okay, I can do this, but I want to do something more. I remember, you know, reading a lot of reviews when I was working in those films and those films released, and I used to get so happy when they mentioned about me, at least in one line, that she did her part.
Okay.
Or she looked fine. That itself was a big deal, because probably those roles were not significant enough to even write a line in certain reviews. So that was heartbreaking. So I read those couple of times, and I was like, no, something in me felt like I want to be spoken about a little more. I work really hard. I might not be good at it, right? Then pan me, but write something
at least
about me.
Acknowledge me.
Yeah. So, but that I craved. So that's when I think I realized that when this happened, these kind of films happened, I realized, yeah, this I'm liking.
Yeah.
You don't like, you write. You like, you write. But acknowledge my presence. I think that's why I'm happy now I did that, to realize that this is what I eventually wanted to do.
No, and I also think, you know, looking back, had you continued that, you'd have probably made a lot of money in a short time, but your shelf life would have been drastically short because the tendency with that kind of role is typically like somebody does maybe 10 movies with the top stars and then they go looking for the next such person who can do such a role.
100%.
So we would not be sitting and having this conversation today probably had you continued that. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
but,
to each their own decision.
Yeah, but that would have been...
I actually went ahead and said this in a lot of interviews when I was working in South, that when they asked, where do you see yourself 5 years or 10 years from now? So I said, 5 years is what I think my shelf life is. So if you ask me 10 years from now, maybe in some other country, just doing something else. And because when I'm done doing the leading lady parts, then I would want to just do something else. I don't want to go down to doing insignificant parts.
Right.
I have actually said this on record because I was always told that this is a shelf life because I was doing those kind of films, right? So 1 round or 2 rounds of me featuring alongside certain heroes and that's it, you're done. So unless the sudden shift happened in the kind of films people started watching in mainstream cinema in Hindi, and I realized, okay, actresses can be the leading face, and that was correctly at the time I was starting off in Hindi. And I realized the power of knowing language and what you can do with it. And I think then things changed for me. Otherwise,
actually, when I saw you in Baby, which was the first big Hindi film that you did.
That was my second release after Chashme Badur, yes.
Yeah, Chashme Badur. But this was a proper kind of
big film.
Big film and a big role.
No, it was a 7-minute role actually.
No, 7-minute role, but the big impact that the role had. Because there's that action scene, there's that thing. And also you registered the power of knowing the language, like you said. I was like, wow, this is Taapsee.
Yeah.
I
also found myself as an actor when I worked here. That's why my way of picking up films in Tamil and Telugu also changed after that, because I was like, okay, I realized what I can do with my craft. And I'm okay getting paid less. Because I'm not in those big magnum opus films. I'm okay being not that person who's being called at different dance shows or different performances in different events to do dance on their songs. But the fun you have on set and the enjoyment and what you create, what you go back home with, and the sleep you have, the excitement you have to see audience reaction on your work is something else that I really started enjoying after that.
But is that an important part of being considered a top actor? That is what you just mentioned, which is being invited to perform at dance shows and things like that?
Yeah, partly. Maybe if not dance shows, it's actually the byproduct of having featured in big successful mainstream films, because in most of those films you have actresses having those big songs. So if you have those films is when you are called for those shows, right?
Right.
So because you have those songs to perform. So it's kind of like related to each other, and that's what makes you a big actress, or the highly paid actress in the industry.
So when you act in films like Chashme Badur or Judwa, did you find yourself tapping into a new side, or was it like just a Hindi version of the Telugu stuff that you did?
Chashme Badur was the first one, so it was still a big what I realized about what I could do, because I was talking in my own language for the first time. So it was that I think was a different experience compared to Judwa 2. When Judwa 2 happened, it came after Baby, Pink, Naam Shabana. Because in that film, I remember the reason behind doing it very clearly. Apart from the fact that yes, someone like David Dhawan could actually ask me to do it, because after doing these films in Hindi, nobody ever imagined me in something like that. And because David sir saw my South films as well, so he knew that I could pull off that part as well. And I wanted to do it because slowly I started realizing people are boxing me in this category of art film heroine who will only do these, the character kind of roles. I was like, no, I'm not liking this, because I've just come out of a box where they put me only in glamorous roles. Now I don't want to get into another box. So the moment I got this opportunity, I jumped onto it because I wanted to show I can do this.
Right.
It's just that I don't choose to do this.
right.
So thankfully, because of that, suddenly people started realizing, okay, she is doing a certain kind of cinema, but they're still not tagging me as art film heroine. They still somewhere see me in, you know, not 100% mainstream commercial, but still somewhere in the commercial category, because the films end up collecting some money,
Yeah.
if not 100 crores. So I had to create this middle path, and courtesy film, doing a film like Judwa, it helped me break that box early in my career.
Right, right. Now, you know, I'm going to read out a quote that you said. With every movie, I'm trying in my own little way to do whatever I can to change the way female characters have been presented. And you have been doing that because whether it's Badla or whether it's, you know, Thappad or whether it's all these films, right? Because do you feel you've done what you set out to do?
If my individual image is concerned, then yes. Like in terms of people thinking, okay, if she's done something like this, it'll be an interesting female character to watch out for in this film. But have I changed a lot in terms of expectations of the audience when it comes to a Hindi film leading lady? Not sure. I'm too small to make that bigger change. And times change faster than my effort for people to suddenly start looking at leading actresses just sometimes just serving the male actor in the film. They still go back to that kind of cinema mostly.
Right.
And they're okay with that. But they're not that okay with the woman calling the shots in the film. We still have a long way to go. At least with respect to my films, I can say that when they know that I'm there in a film, they'll expect something pivotal or strong enough, but only in the boundaries of the films I feature in.
But what explains then the success of, let's say, like Gangubai or like a Piku or something like that, which is...
I mean, the frequency.
Okay.
My question is, they're beautiful milestones of sorts, but the frequency at which they happen is way
Lower than
the other kind of films. That's it. That's what. If these films didn't happen, then people like me will never get courage to continue.
Yeah.
So yeah, these films have happened is why I still have hope and courage that, you know, it will happen. But the frequency is too low. Is what
because
my
you can
concern
literally
is.
say there's a kahani with Vidya Balan.
That was what changed my whole perspective about my shelf life.
Which kahani?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Dirty Picture and Kahani, when they came, it was correctly at the time I was starting in Hindi films.
Okay.
And that's why I always look at Vidya as my hero. Because she changed the whole way I looked at my career ahead, that I also can do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's always nice to have examples.
Yeah.
But I also understand what you're saying, because even in Hollywood, if you take like let's say a Nicole Kidman, she's offered serious parts,
Yeah.
but rarely gets into a rom-com kind of zone, even when she was younger, because she was doing all these relatively serious parts. So would you want to do like a rom-com kind of?
Of course I would want to, because in my, it's strange that people who meet me in real, who know me in person, they just find it very strange when I do these intense films back to back, because they've not seen me really intense in my real life. So they feel like, you know, we would really want you to do something lighter. And I'm like, you know, it's difficult not for me, but for people to imagine, because we are so happy in our comfort zone of imagination. Okay, this is this type of role, oh, this one will suit this. Nobody wants to really think out of the box. I've had conversations with certain top directors here when I go meet them. And first I have to break the notion of the fact that I'm okay doing films where I'm not leading the film, in the sense like it's not my story. I'm okay doing that. First I have to break that notion. And then I have to tell them that I would want to do something lighter. It's not that if I have to be there, it has to have some issue attached with it. And I really questioned them. I said, why would you want to take the same faces for the same roles? It's unfair to them as well. So, and it's unfair to people like me who would want to experiment with their craft. And it's your complacency as a director to only think that, oh, this is this type of a character, so who looks like this? Only these girls. well then they're only going to bring what they have already brought to the table in some other film. When I will probably do something like that, I will bring something new to the table that none of them have, because my personality or my image is way different from theirs. So it's unfair to both me and the actresses who've been constantly cast in the same kind of roles.
Yeah.
So, but it takes the vision of a director to actually be confident and in their story, craft, character, and have that courage. It's not just an actor who should be appreciated for the courage of taking risky roles, it's the director also. Like, I really give it to Anubhav sir to actually have the courage to cast me in Thappad. If you look at it, now at the hindsight, you can say, oh, well, she stood up for herself, so it was Taapsee's typical role. No, it wasn't. If you come to think of it, to play an underdog from the beginning who gets slapped and takes it, and quietly takes it, only in the end she speaks up. Otherwise, she's always taking everything very quietly from every side. It's very unlike my image. So he had to be really sure that, okay, he knows his story and he knows how he's going to use me. And he's going to take someone who has a very strong image of giving it back in a role where she doesn't really give back, very silently stands up for herself.
Yeah.
So more directors need to have that vision and courage.
And I think when we talk about ASSI, I just love the fact that you are willing to be part of an ensemble, because it doesn't happen enough.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, it should be the norm, because people should say,
Yeah.
I love this part, even if it's X minutes long, because it's a great part and I want to play it. For example, Supriya Pathak has one scene, and that's a killer scene.
Yeah, Seema Pava, if you see.
Seema Pava, yeah. She has that one scene. Yeah, but you have many more scenes.
Yeah.
But the fact is that, are you the protagonist of the film? No, because you're part of the conversation that of the issue that the film is talking about, and that's really fascinating that people are willing to do that. It's
that's for a person whose career started or took off with a film like Baby, which is a 7-minute role in an ensemble cast. I think this is least of my issues.
Yeah. Just to interrupt. See, but Baby was early on, so you're like, okay.
Then I did a Mission Mangal also.
Yeah,
where I was not playing a role which was at par with what Vidya did in the film. I've done films like, for example, Surma, where that's not my story.
It's a very good film, by the way.
Yeah, so it's not my story. I'm taking a back seat there, letting Diljit's character take the forefront.
Did it do well, though?
Yeah, it did well.
Okay.
It did well.
Because
thankfully. But still, I think the impact of the films that I have done as protagonists is a way too strong for them to remember those. I did Khel Khel Mein. Yeah, so again, 7 actors. And I never asked to increase my scene or, like I should be shown as the main. We were all equal in terms of screen space. So, yeah, I've time and again tried to show this with my choices, that I'm not that insecure actor who wants to always be in the forefront. Yes, you remember me for those films is not my problem. I've tried to give my best even in the films I'm there as an ensemble cast. I think it's probably a good problem to have, that you take me back home as the face that you remember.
Yeah.
But that's not how it was written or when it came to me. So I do try to. And it's strange that I have to keep mentioning that in a lot of my interviews, because people just very coolly forget that it was an ensemble and they just remember me for doing the films where I am the one who's leading it. Yeah, but I'm happy to do these kind of films, I love working with the actors, especially good ones.
Yeah.
It intimidated me around in Mulk, when it was the first time I was amongst the stalwarts of sorts. But now I think I get excited. It brings this whole challenge in front of me that I have to live up to the expectation, the parameter or the barometer of performances around me. I need to match up to that. It brings this whole challenge for me.
Yeah. You said that the Thappad character made you grow up. I think it was an Instagram post or something like that. What would you say the ASSI character did for you?
I always, as like everybody else, we always thought that this doesn't happen in our house. A rape doesn't happen in our house or around our vicinity. So, yeah, I mean, it's not my problem. And I'm fine, and my family is not really involved in it in any way whatsoever. So, it's fine. I'm out of it. The way the scanner is on top of us individually, all of us, is what I kind of took back home from this, that maybe I'm not directly a part of this crime as a victim, survivor, or the accused, but I'm part of that society that somewhere is allowing this kind of a notion to go to be passed to generations. Am I? Are all the men around me or the women around me are vigilant enough? Not in terms of like killing people who are doing this, but stopping the ideas, the jokes, the thoughts, the statements that can potentially lead someone to think that it's okay to rape someone. Have we done enough of that individually? Have we stopped people from when the jokes have crossed a certain line, which might just make you feel like you have the right to laugh at certain situations which you shouldn't? Yeah, so or have you been the one who just drove off in middle of the night knowing that there is a car chasing a woman? So, all these things brought back this spotlight on me in my head, that this is what I took back from ASSI, that have I done enough individually, which obviously makes you feel a little guilty because I'm not sure. Maybe I haven't, like all of us. So that's what I have taken back.
But I loved two scenes of yours in particular. I mean, one was when you talk to somebody, a cop, and you talk about the fact that women have anger too, and the way that scene is staged and played, that's fantastic. And the other one is where in court you recite a poem.
Prakashji's poem,
you recite a poem and take that forward in the argument, where a very crucial witness is going to deliver something, and yet this is not a courtroom drama. So I just love the way the whole thing was made.
Yeah.
Do you find that this is a little problematic, where on the one hand we say we need freedom of speech, and on the other hand we say rape jokes are a problem? How do we draw the line?
We draw the line when we think that with great power comes great responsibility. It's our power that we have freedom of speech. Are we responsible enough to use that power is a question, or is the check that we need to do on ourselves. We will not like it, and we wouldn't want it to happen, like someone else is standing and schooling us, unless it's at an age, formative age, where someone in your family, elder to you, can actually do that to you. At that time, you'll take it up as learning. But if it's like at a grown-up age, you probably don't take it that nicely, and you're like, it's my freedom of speech.
Right.
But do you also realize that after crossing a certain age, that's your power, that you have freedom of speech? And as I said, with great power, are you responsible enough to use that power?
So let me extend this to the special numbers in films. And again, one of the very kind of indirect things in ASSI is when that Fevicol say number is played in a Bharat. Everyone's dancing to it. On the one hand, it is a song where a woman is objectified, but that's also, some actors also say that it's a celebration of the female form. I've heard them say that. Again, it's like the actor says, it's my choice. I have a great body. I want to show it off. In fact, recently I interviewed an actor where she said she would do only one special song, and if it was something big enough, and then she found the movie where that thing would happen, and she did it, and she felt great, and it was empowering and all that. What is that? Because on the one hand, it's a gaze.
Yeah.
You are reducing the female to like an object of desire. But on the other hand, it's also the woman's freedom to say, I want to do a special song, or I want to be a part of this, or whatever it. How, again, a little.
As I said, that everybody, the actor draws his or her own line.
Okay.
Obviously, and you as an audience, whoever's consuming it, is entitled to judge that actor's politics in terms of ideological yes or no's, basis that. That's also a freedom that you're allowed to do. And if you judge that actor basis that, it should help you understand, do I need to follow this actor's, not, I won't say preaching, but ideologies.
Right.
Or no. I always say that, see, all of us are human beings. We have different shades of grey in us, and actors are also human beings. So we should be not treated like demigods. We show our weaknesses or wrongs as well.
Right.
It's up to you. You see this and you feel like, no, this person is not always aligning with my ideologies. So I don't want to follow this person. I just want to consume this person's work up to a limit and not really let it affect me at a human level.
Right.
You choose that with that actor. And with a certain actor, you feel, okay, this person, whenever this person does something, it really reaches out to me and I feel connected ideologically. Then, yes, please go ahead and follow that person. If you want to consider that person as your hero in real, do that. But all actors are supposed to be the ideological heroes or leaders. That's not a rule anywhere.
This is a discussion I'm having
Yeah.
with you. I'm not putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
I don't want you to take a stand. I'm not doing that,
at
right?
least that's the least I expect from I know you wouldn't do that.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to, voice
Yeah.
out certain thoughts that you have, because on the one hand, there was some discussion around how can Farah Khan, who's a woman, make a song like Sheila Ki Jawani and have Katrina in a shirt, and there was like some murmurs. I'm like, but again, is it like just should being a woman not allow Farah to, like, should she only show like a different kind of thing? Yeah,
your priorities are not basis your gender always, right? Your priorities are also basis what your craft or the industry you are in, the limitations of the business that you have to produce, and maybe that's your priority over being a woman or the kind of woman who would want to send across a certain message or whatsoever. That might not be your priority.
Right.
And you're allowed to have that. I'm nobody to judge that your priority is not at par, is not as good as my priorities are better than yours. No,
Yeah.
I have a different constraints in life and different ideologies I follow, which are different from you, and hence it makes me a different human being. And you're allowed to do what you're allowed to do. I'm allowed to do what I'm allowed to do. I'm not going to compare and contrast this situation. If you want to use your power for that, great. But the audience also has the power to judge, is what I say. When you have the power to judge, you should have first your ideology sorted and then judge. Okay, this doesn't work in my ideology, so I will look at it only purely entertainment perspective, not take it too seriously or not take it thinking that, okay, this person is always guiding me towards the right direction, whereas some other person might just be someone who you want to follow in all ways. So yeah, your priority as a human being or as an entertainer is bigger than someone as a woman.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's your choice. Maybe mine is different. Maybe someone else's is different. And that should be okay with everybody.
But would you personally do something like that? Or is that
Like-
something that depends on a movie kind of a thing?
I've honestly never, no, people who have reached out to me also, I'm like, okay, I'm really glad you think that I can pull off an item song, so to say. I've not really seen myself doing something like that. I've not even come across something that can make me think that I can do this.
But again, just from a purely argumentative point of view, would that be a flex to see if you can do it? Would that be something that you say, okay, I really pulled that off?
When I did Judwa, I did it to prove that I can do something like that. I'm not sure if I still want to prove it or with which film I would want to prove it. Maybe it's my own film where I'm doing a character where, and at the films I will do something like that will be with someone who will respect that when I am making a certain boundary for myself, I will only work in those boundaries. So maybe in some of my film, I'll end up doing something like that, which probably will still be in the boundaries that I'm okay representing.
So basically, every actor sets their own
Yes,
boundaries
yes.
of what they will do and what they will not do.
And that can be governed by the timing in their career. That can be governed by the need of maybe, I don't know, financial need or the need to step up into a certain kind of clout. It can be different need.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is, yeah.
And you will never know that as an audience.
Yeah. No, and to take your own example, today you may not do those Telugu films, but that doesn't mean that at that point you were wrong.
Yeah,
because you were like you said, trying to make a name for yourself.
Yes.
You didn't know
And
how
I didn't
things
know any better.
Yeah, you didn't know how things worked,
Yeah.
and That was the way it was.
100%,
Yeah,
100%.
I mean, you just can't immediately say, oh, I'm going to do an ASSI.
Yeah.
You know, that
I'm not born with the, I know my rights and wrongs. You only do certain things and experiences, and then you like, oh, I think I shouldn't have done it, or I feel I could have done better. You only can look at it at hindsight.
Yeah, actually, that's a great way to look at it, because it's like, I think all of us, we stumble through life.
Yes.
Like, we're not like, born with steady steps and a steady mind, and, we know everything that's correct versus wrong, and, like, we all stumble through.
And especially people who are not coming from the same background. It's not like I've seen someone in my family grow up and make certain mistakes or do certain things, so I've learned, oh no, this is how this decision is looked, so I don't think I should do something like that. So I have not grown up, so I had to make my own mistakes and see myself doing certain things and realize, okay, no, this is not working for me. So that also, it takes generations to actually be very clear from the beginning that, okay, this is how this thing is looked at, so let me just not do this. It doesn't come for the first generation actor. So it takes time.
You said that you still feel like an outsider, and this is somewhere after Mission Mangal. And that was quite some time that you'd been acting. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I have to prove myself with every film. There are no like, I'll tell you a very practical example. People, like, we have our screenings, we have our releases. How many outsiders films have you seen where people line up, the industry people line up to come, or they are just non-stop talking about it on social media? An outsiders film where other outsiders are lining up and coming for screenings and talking about it on social media. Very few handful of examples you'll have. Whereas you will see all inside, and this is something I look at in a very, very positive light, Paddy. So I really want to take the best out of what insiders actually have cracked and they're so good at, is standing by each other. We don't stand by each other. And maybe that's as outsiders. Maybe that's because we've not really grown up together. We don't know each other for decades. Our families don't know each other. We've hustled all our way through. So we constantly, in our minds, constantly hustling. We always are like, no, we have to think of our elbowing someone out to get step ahead. So we are never in the mode of supporting most of the times. But these insiders, how beautifully they come together. When someone's screening happens, someone's trailer has released, everybody will, talk about it on social media, will show up, will say nice things, regardless of how the film is. They will make sure that they do their bit. Does it always translate into box office success? I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
But it's just so beautiful to see that solidarity, just to show that, like, you have support system. And that helps an actor with so much of confidence that even if that film doesn't work, no problem, I know there are people standing by me, I'll get back into the game, I'll start from scratch again. But with us, it doesn't really happen as much. We have to really... even if I invite people, there will be very few who probably have worked with me who will end up actually turning up. I've hardly seen people, even if they like the trailer, they'll come and tell me in person they have really liked it, but it's not like they'll really talk about it on social media. I did that for a few years in the beginning because I felt like, I should. What if other people are not doing? And I realized it's probably only one-way traffic. And I don't see that in return most of the times. Then I realized probably, maybe this is what the rule is of the game. So maybe I'm the one doing it wrong and I shouldn't probably do this. So I'm still like trying to understand why does this happen and why people from outside don't support each other enough, but would love to talk about this debate of insiders versus outsiders. Why don't we take this good from the insiders? We are very good at telling, oh, we didn't get the opportunities that were meant for us. We get easily replaced by those phone calls. Yes, all that happens. But also what happens is we don't learn from how well they stand by each other. So that's the good of it also.
But is that also, see, now you Anubhav Sinha, you worked with him quite a few times. Is it possible to set up a parallel
Camp?
Camp. So, which kind of, I was trying not to use that word, but then we used
No, I
it.
understood
So,
what you meant.
yeah.
Because people have been asking this a lot. So don't you think this is a sort of a favoritism of sorts? I said, no, if the films that we do together don't make a mark, then obviously it's not like we'll constantly keep working with each other. Maybe then someone will be like, oh no, you get more money approved if you work with someone else. It's because our combination has been working business-wise is why it's repeated. If it doesn't make sense business-wise, it will not be repeated.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Even if it's done with someone who's from the inside, it's okay if the business is kind of giving you the results. If they feel like, oh, this combination is repeating. How many times in the past as well, we usually see the director-hero combination being repeated multiple times. You know, how many times did you see in the past Javed Akhtar, Amitabh Bachchan, Salim Javed and Amitabh Bachchan working together multiple times because that combination was what was in demand. So that's okay. You can't call that nepotism, right? So that I understand. But the day it stops working, nobody would want it.
You said that. You said that when you do a role, you manage to get rid of about 90% of the role, but some 10% stays behind with you. And the example that you gave at that point was Game Over. And you said that that character made you feel a little depressed.
Yeah.
You keep doing films where, I'm not talking about, let's say, the ones you do with Kanika, for instance, which are a little more like Pulp Fiction kind of movies. And they're, even if they have serious shades, they are genre films, they're fun films kind of a thing. But I'm talking about these kind, like let's say, like an ASSI. What do you take back? Does it, like, do you feel, you know, a movie, yes, we made a movie, hopefully it'll be seen, but ultimately maybe nothing, very little is going to change. Do you get thoughts like that?
Yeah, you do. But then, do you, like, I always see this as, I'm someone who would like to grow as a human being as well with every film. And that Kavita, the poem of Uday Prakash ji is something that stayed with me long after I read it for the first time in the script. आदमी मरने के बाद कुछ नहीं सोचता, आदमी मरने के बाद कुछ नहीं बोलता, कुछ नहीं सोचने, कुछ नहीं बोलने से आदमी मर जाता है. So impactful. I think that's the reason why I keep doing these kind of films, because I'm not an activist who will like go on ground. Maybe I'll use my medium, and this is how I can use my medium, because I don't want to be dead. I want to stay alive. I have very limited lifespan, and I cannot be cold like a stone who doesn't get affected by whatever's happening around, who doesn't have a reaction to whatever's happening around. But I want to use my medium to say certain things or be part of those films who have the films that have a certain voice.
Yeah.
And that's how I would want to feel alive. Because I have life beyond films, and I feel I want to grow as a human being as well, along with growing as an actor. And acting is a part of my life, not my whole life. So this is how I feel my growth as a human being reflects when I become part of certain films that will stand the test of time, will be probably long after I'm gone also will be viewed as a good film.
Right.
So all these things make me become part of films like these.
Now, long back you said that you will never marry an actor, and the statement that you made was, you can put this on stamp paper. And like, you know, when that statement came out, you're just like, okay, she's really being very definitive about it, but you did that, and you married a sportsman.
Maybe when I made that statement, I probably was already dating Matthias, maybe because of that.
Maybe because that, so I don't know, because that seemed like a very, very definitive statement, like, who knew, but now that do you think there are many actors that are married to actors?
Yeah.
There are many, like you're married to a sportsman.
Yeah.
Do you think that gives you a balance, something else that?
Oh yeah, it has really, it has brought so much of sanity in my life.
Okay.
In terms of this industry is I feel this work or this kind of life brews anxiety, insecurity every day.
I love what you're talking about, Taapsee. You're being so honest You know, like,
Yeah,
I don't know, as in like,
Listen, Daddy, you've spoken to me enough number of times to know that.
Yeah, I know, but it's like we've spoken and then suddenly I'm like realizing that I don't speak to enough people who are like this, you know. So.
Yeah. No, this industry can pretty much drive you nuts and also has the fear of putting you in this bubble, and you don't even realize you are in a bubble because you're constantly feeling like the world revolves around you until you have someone who you go back to and who has zero idea about your work, the people you're working with, the extent to which your work can affect you, or in terms of like how insecure your life is on daily basis. But at the same time, that person is also a public figure of sorts. So knows what public figure life is in a way, but has no idea about your job.
Yeah.
So that's why coming back home, my pack up truly meant pack up. And we don't discuss, we are culturally obviously different. We work-wise are very, very different. I envy his work life because he can just do whatever he wants without worrying about public opinion. I can't. So yeah, it really anchored me.
Why do you have to worry about public opinion?
Because
like as in like she's acted well, she's not acted well, that kind of
everything. I think actors, and I again might be one of those very few people who will say this, but deep down inside, I think all of us know that our success, our hard work or our talent is the minority part of it.
Right.
It is more of a team sport, and audience is also part of this team in a way because they have to accept it. It should be released in such a way that they get to know about it. They should feel nice about it. They should like your work also. And it's not just about your work. You should be looking good enough for them to see you as a leading lady also.
Yeah.
So there's so many factors of that decide if you are successful or no. Whereas a sports star has to just play well.
Yeah.
End of story. No pleasing people, no trying to entertain people beyond your sport. Whereas for us, it's always about trying to make sure that everyone around us is happy with what we are doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like for instance, he would not have to give an interview to to kind of make sure that a film is there and make it a little better known and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because this is what we're doing now is part of your acting career.
Yeah.
For him, that's not there.
You say this, I find this very funny. So the other day, a couple of friends were home and we were...
Home is what, Denmark or here?
Obviously we have a house
right.
And depends upon if I'm working, I'm here. When I'm not working, I'm there.
Right, but if you say you're based anywhere, it's not. It's your
we shuttle bases wherever I'm supposed to be. Yeah. So at home, I remember a few weeks back, maybe we were watching some song of mine or something because my friends were there, and suddenly on YouTube the playlist started playing where one song plays and then multiple start following it, and then he was like. Suddenly he stops and he brings out his laptop and he puts his one match on and he leaves it there. He's like, now after this we will watch my matches also for a few minutes. Whereas, it's such a strange, he was just having fun, but it's like, you don't realize, imagine if at home I had someone who was from films also, will probably be like, okay, maybe the next song will be that person, or maybe we'll dissect that song, dissect that scene, dissect that interview. But for him, it's like, no, let's play my match also now in the background somewhere, just like how your song is playing. Yeah. So they are like these kind of very funny moments at home that make me feel like, okay, I have life beyond movies, which I'm so thankful for. So I get to see that it's not just this. There is more to my life than just my work.
But, long back you said that it was very difficult finding a place to live in Mumbai, a home, because people just would not give homes on rent to single actors.
Yeah.
That's still a thing?
I don't know if now, have not, now since I have an apartment myself, so I don't know how it is now, but it was a problem back then.
So what, they thought you'd be like having parties?
Some rave parties, some crazy timings and number of people coming home, going in and out of the society, some loud music will be playing, and at least they know that after 9, 10 or something, I need to be in my bed and sleeping. Every actor is different, right? So I don't know how do they decide that just because I'm an actor, I have a certain lifestyle, and because they're corporate professional, they have a better life or better decorum. I don't know how people conceive this idea of, there are a lot of myths attached to being an actor. This is one of them.
But isn't it really strange that on the one hand, in India, we worship actors, literally like build temples or whatever it is, like the big screen. But at the same time, we judge them horribly. Like their morality and other things. It's like I'm not talking about the performances and things like that. But if you take all the professions and you say which ones are the where the morals are low, whatever it is, many people will just say, oh, he or she is an actor. They'll do, they'll do whatever they want. Don't you find it strange? Like on the one hand, you go to a film because of a certain actor, but coming home, this is the opinion that you have of them. It's bizarre.
The stranger part is, the part that you judge an actor, I understand because we are a public figure. So people are buying ticket to watch you, so they feel that it's their birthright to judge you, which is okay, fine, you do that. But what is strange for me is that you will pay to watch that person in theatre, but you're not okay for that person to be your neighbor. That is what is strange for me. I understand where they come from when they say, this she's just not making sense, or she just didn't do this well enough, or she's not talking sense, because they have paid to watch the film, or they have spent their time watching me say something. So they feel like time is currency, right? So you feel like you've spent time on this person, so and that person's public figure. And as I said, it's a team sport where audience is there, so they decide my level. So they feel like they're entitled to, which is fine. I can live with that. But this dichotomy I didn't understand, when you want to spend money on them, your time on them, but you don't want them next door, where you can probably see them for free every day almost.
Actually, you don't have to pay.
So that is strange. I don't know. I don't understand that logic.
Let's talk about your feelings about Dunki, because that was the biggest film that you've worked in. And I remember you being very, very excited. Like it's almost like you wouldn't talk about it. It was like you didn't want to talk about it because you didn't want to jinx it. Then the movie comes out. There's this whole rush. It makes money, but there's also the sense that it's not done enough or whatever it is. How do you process the whole thing?
It still is the biggest film for me. It still collected the maximum box office that any of my films collected. So it'll still stand that. I got a chance to work with Rajkumar Hirani and Shah Rukh Khan, so that's still going to be at the top of
that's always
everything else. But the fact is that year had 3 Shah Rukh Khan releases. And by virtue of our profession, where you're always as good as your last Friday is so much in comparison with your current Friday or the Friday before that. It's always about the previous film did this and this film and the next. So in that comparison is where we lost out first to begin with, where his Sir's previous 2 films were like crazy in terms of box office, the takeoff that they got. So when the third one is happening, by default audience have expectations of higher up, because you're already having the graph going up. But the third film is way contrast in terms of genre, the appeal, the sensibility. Nothing is coming close to what the previous 2 were. It's an altogether different world. And your character here is not the larger-than-life character that the first 2 films had. So it's suddenly just not falling in line with anything. So it was just like, and it's happening in the same year. So it's, and his films have a long hangover, because he also has come back after long. So I think that's where also it fell short in terms of, suddenly you're just seeing this persona becoming bigger and bigger, and now you're suddenly a village boy. So that suddenly was like, but it was always meant to be that. Maybe the order of release, if it was changed, things would have been different. So I think that, and I was still excited about it, and I'm still so proud of the fact that I got to play such a pivotal role in a Shah Rukh Khan, Rajkumar Hirani film. none of Raju sir's previous films has actresses who are even remotely as pivotal as my character in that film. It was supposed to be a love story which drives, which is supposed to be like my journey wanting to go there, and how Shah Rukh sir becomes my knight in shining armor to take me there, and all of that. So it's a very pivotal role that I thought I just got the jackpot. There's one film I have to do with Shah Rukh Khan, it turned out to be where I have such a solid part. So I will still take back that memory. Just probably the order of releases would have changed. The story would have been slightly different.
Yeah. So when this movie comes out, does it also open doors? Because you've said, we spoke earlier about how the fact that, you know, if you have a film with certain songs and certain things, then you get like a little more recognized, right? Did Dunki kind of help you that way? Because did it, like, of course you're doing ASSI and these kinds of films, which are very good films. Like, let me just say this again to those who haven't watched this film. It's like, it's a really, really good film and a very interesting take on what could have been a very simplistic and earnest film about a very important subject. It's not that. It's a very nuanced, complex, 360-degree view on a very, like an issue like rape. But again, so these films are coming to you, right? But did Dunki create another, you know, like a market for you?
Dunki definitely, what it did was that it gave me a tag of an actress who could be in that big film opposite the biggest star we have. So now again, you cannot box me as an art house or art film heroine.
Yeah, coming back to that point.
Yeah. So it again helped me break that. But will I keep getting that kind of film, like these kind of big budget films as heroine? I'm not sure. That film, Raju sir was sure from day one that he needed me in that film as the leading lady.
Did he tell you like what he was looking at when he cast you?
I remember he had seen Man Marzi and he had called me to meet him.
Yeah.
And we had a long chat, and he later on obviously he told me that he was fixed in his head that this is who he wanted Mannu to be. Like, he wanted me to play that part. Had it not been a director who was so sure of casting this kind of actor who's usually not in these kind of big films, I'm not sure if I would have been there. I think for the longest time, everybody was very shocked about where did this one come in from, and that very awkward, like, you know, when you don't know something, so you start making theories around it. Why would she be there? No, maybe, you know, creating some random reasons behind it, because just they're not able to put this together.
They process this because they put you in that box.
Yeah.
So to come into this box
yeah,
is
so
like,
it was a very odd, how do we now break the box that we have only created for her and let her come into the other box? So that's something that I faced, like, throughout the 2 years we were shooting it. Everybody just kept asking this question, how? I said, by just probably doing good work. Maybe I got a chance. It took me 10 years to be in a Shah Rukh Khan film, but I'm glad it was not because of a call that, okay, please take her, or I'm so-and-so, so please take me, or I have given the biggest money spinner, so take me. It was because you felt that this role needed someone like me, and so much of, I do have a lot of, I take a lot of pride in the fact that my work got me this film.
And speaking of Manmarzi Anurag's film, I would say that if there's one film that I would pick to showcase your range and what you can do, and also what you can bring to a film, it would be that film, because I just love that film. I love the music in that film. I love the love triangle in that film. I love your role, Abhishek's role, Vicky's role, the way it just comes together. And it's only Anurag can make that film. Just kind of, you know, only Anurag can make a love story which is like that. You know, that's
I get really in my head, I get really boxed in terms of, like, if I have done this, like, when love stories come to me, you need to really go a level higher for me to do another love story. Because I'll give you an example. Like, spy thrillers are working now, right? It's in the trend. But I did it with Naam Shabana and Baby, and that worked brilliantly for me. So if you want me to do a spy thriller now, which does come my way very often because it's the flavor of the season, I want to do it only if it's going to up the game from there. Otherwise, I'm not interested in doing it. The same goes for the love story, because nowadays, if you see, these very toxic love stories are in trend. But I did such an amazing love story a few years back. Now, if you want me to do another love story, then you need to up the game from there, and only then I can do it. I don't want to spoil the sanctity of doing something that was so good.
But what if, purely commercially speaking, what if a good combination came across where you're saying, okay, I'm not terribly fond of what this role is, but this is a good package, you know, like commercially speaking, this is a good packaging because this is the director, this is the leading man, this is the music director, because some projects are like that, right? So would you still...
If the character is totally out of line in terms of, the story is totally out of line in terms of what I would want to be associated with, I will still not do it.
Okay.
But otherwise, it's the director who ends up being the reason for me to do the film. Even if the script is not 100% there, if I really want to work with the director, I'll still do it.
But how about, so just for argument's sake again, what about saying that I don't identify with this girl, but I don't, it's fiction and it's somebody else's character, but let me try to embody that girl to the best extent that I can.
100%.
Yeah. What about that
100%.
argument? Yeah.
Character, you can, like, of course, like, if you say example, Badla. I don't identify with that girl. I don't want anyone to identify with that girl.
That's Taapsee.
Yeah, please don't do that. I don't murder people. So, but the takeaway of that film is something that I'm really mindful of. And I'm okay with if some other actor doesn't want to think like that. And it's their career. They're allowed to make those decisions. I don't want to make that decision. I remember there was a film where they wanted me to play a really... a girl who rises from rags and uses all the wrong means to reach the top, and eventually she is glorified in the end because she was just so smart in the way she tricked everybody on the way. I had to say no to that.
Okay.
Because I was like, I'm not feeling nice after finishing the script that this particular character has this kind of glorified, heroic end to it.
Right.
So I'm not feeling nice about it. So I don't want to do it.
So your gut plays a lot in the way...
My gut plays a big role. Otherwise, I would have probably been somewhere else in life right now with very, very heavy paycheck and some really like big films in my kitty.
But you're having big films.
Yeah, they are very big. See, the fact that I have an image of my own is a big thing.
Right.
A lot of actresses, they come and go and do the biggest films. They still don't have their standalone recall value.
Yeah.
So I cherish that. That's big. That's what I was missing when I was working in those Telugu films, where I was craving for people to write about me beyond one line. So today when I see publications writing about me and my choices and noticing that she has done these kind of films and roles, it's so satisfying that, you know, this is what I ventured out for, and now I'm glad that it's getting noticed.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always, you know, it's difficult to do this in life, and not that I'm giving you advice or something like that, because I have trouble following this myself, because one of my friends, a bit of a philosopher, says that, you know, people always tend to look at what they don't have, and there are many people who want to actually be where you are, and they don't have what you have.
This is...
It's very logical, but it's hard to practice.
It is very hard.
Yeah.
I have to tell this to myself every single day. How much success is enough success?
Yeah.
I have to literally ask this question to me every day.
Yeah.
Okay, after this, okay, if this becomes 100 crores, then what? Okay, the next one becomes 200 crores.
Yeah.
Okay, then what? But will there be a limit to this? 500 and 1,000 and 2,000? And I'll constantly be in that hustle mode. At what moment will I sit and enjoy this?
Yeah.
Okay, I have made something of my own. Probably at no moment, because I'm constantly searching the next milestone. It is a very big question that actually changed my entire perspective towards my own career, when I asked myself how much success is going to be enough success for me. And then I decided, okay, I'm kind of non-stop running behind that success. In the bargain, I'm not enjoying my journey.
Yeah.
And that time I'm never going to come back. I'll achieve one milestone, I'll get another milestone, but that journey from one to the second milestone, I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah.
That's suicidal. I'm killing my time. So that kind of made me realize that it's okay. I don't want to be the biggest actress that Hindi film industry has seen. Nobody is, honestly. Everyone, when you go away, few years later, somebody else will come.
Yeah.
I want to live happily for myself,
Yeah.
not to convince people that I'm the best actress around. I don't want to run that race. So that really gave me a lot of peace of mind.
But is that easy to practice?
No.
Yeah.
It's not. It's everyday job because this industry, it's splashing things in your face on daily basis. Things that are sometimes not even true. You will see people who you feel are not as good as you getting films that probably you wanted to do. You are chasing those films, but you are told you're not the kind of actor we are looking at, or you're not the kind of name we are looking at. You're constantly, especially the path I have chosen, I'm constantly proving myself with every film, because the moment I don't prove that I'm good enough, or the moment I'm not good enough in even one film, it'll show a drastic dip in the kind of work I get. So it's very, very scary. This profession is, because there's someone who's ready to take your place the moment you slip a little bit. It is that crazy competitive. So yeah, it takes a lot of mental strength to keep asking this question to yourself every day. And as I said, the fact that I go back home to people who have nothing to do with my work kind of make me feel like, okay, I have something beyond this race or this competition that I need to cherish, which deserves my time and my concentration also. So that kind of makes me feel like, okay, I'm happy where I am. It's not that bad.
It's like they say, right? It's like there are two things that are very difficult in the film industry. One is to enter it, and one is to sustain a career in it. So it's like both are difficult. Right?
It is. And to sustain your mental standard is even. It's the most difficult thing here.
You mentioned the word, like you said that when you're chasing a film, do you actively sometimes, supposing you hear about a project that's on there, do you sometimes make calls? Do you still do that? You still do that?
I still do that.
Okay.
I haven't, that hasn't transformed into anything as yet.
Right.
I have chased a lot of films and roles and directors saying, I just heard about this film that you're doing. I would really want to do the part in it. It hasn't really translated into anything as yet. I don't know. Sometimes I hear like, oh, I'm not really looking at, the image in my head, it doesn't fit in with how they see me. Again, it might be true, or it might be just the laziness of the person to not imagine me, because certain roles just require a good hair, makeup, styling team, and you can transform into someone else. But if you believe in my craft, is why you need to cast me. But probably that's a little risky proposition for them to think out of the box, is why a lot of times I don't get considered for a lot of roles. But then, yeah, I'm going to do my part, because I shouldn't say, oh shit, if I would have gone and made that call, maybe it would have happened.
Yeah.
At
least you make sure that.
Yeah, at least I tried. And I have no ego in doing that, because who else will pick up that call if not me?
Yeah.
So I do that all the time.
And, like for instance, you mentioned in an interview long back that you wanted to work with Mani Ratnam and Hrithik Roshan. Those kinds of, do you think putting these things out sometimes it's like a little bit of manifestation on your part, or what is it? Is it like, do you think that it may go through some sources to those people?
No, it's just me being the brutal, honest self. And I should really shut up and not say these names so that I don't jinx it. Sometimes I feel like that. But when people ask me who's the director you would want to work with, your goal or your the bucket list. So there are lots, but then top of my head is Mani Ratnam, and I've gone and said that to him multiple times at multiple occasions.
Right.
It hasn't translated into anything. I'm sure whenever he thinks is the right film or the role, he probably will consider. And yeah, it's not manifestation. It's just you ask me something and I just answer honestly.
Yeah, but always great talking to you, Taapsee. And once again, I can't tell you how much I can't say enjoy, because this is not a film that you enjoy, but it's something that it really, really worked for me. Yeah, and hope to see you in many more good films.
Yes.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
And continue enjoying the balance between sports and life.
I will.
So, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This interview is presented by Title Sponsors Ramraj Mritu Towels. Mritu Towels from Ramraj. Super soft, super absorbent. Balmer, Lawrie and Company Limited. A Government of India enterprise with 160 years of trust. Powered by Anuj Styles. Ragangal Palavidam. Vovundrum Ulagataram. Mr. Gold. Tarathalayum Malavalayum. No compromise. Darling ASSI Tiruvizha. இந்தியாவிலே குறைந்த மாத தவணையில் ASSI.